All right, so this is a video that'll show you how to make this kind of like funky little sparkle effect with the LEDs. You can go put this up on a wall and call yourself an LED artist and make tens of thousands of dollars. And, it's my freebie gift to all of you. Um, so this is a slightly more complex program. The code is up online. You're free to pick it apart and do whatever you like with it. I'm just going to give you a brief run through with it. So the circuit is really just the same as we had before. Data on line 3, power and ground. There's no sensors or anything on here, but if you wanted to add those in, you certainly could. It might be an interesting way to think about like how you adjust some of these values and variables inside of here. So here in the sketch, we're importing the Neopixel library. We've got the pin that we've got the LEDs on, the number of LEDs in our strip. And then I've got a number of arrays here. The first one, this LED buffer holds the value that of each element of the strip. So this determines how bright each LED is. The LED speed is an array that holds a variable for each individual pixel in the strip to determine whether how fast it fades up or fades down, and that changes all the time. There's another variable right here that determines whether it is in a state of going up or going down. Um, there's another one here that determines whether the LED has reached its sort of like maximum brightness. And then there's one more array here for determining whether the LED is on or off at any given point in time. So all the LEDs in this particular sketch have the same color. This is kind of a yellowish tint. This is from the original code that I was using, but we can make this something a little bit different. So we can make this. I don't know. We'll make this back to that kind of like groovy purplish something, right? So. Uh, Upload that and we'll see how it changes, right? So, and then this last variable here that I've got is the uh, the value in which, like, how quickly this updates, right? So this is essentially a delay. So if I were to increase this, we'd see everything like go through at a slower rate. It wouldn't be quite so fast as that. So you can see if I change this from 5 to 10, everything now moves a little bit more slowly. If you were to really put that up at like 33, it would be like way slow. Um, so then here, I instantiate the library. In this case, I'm calling it strip um, as opposed to LEDs like I was doing before. So inside of here, the very first thing that I'm doing is I'm populating the various arrays with a random speed, a random maximum brightness, and then a directionality. So whether it's like going, whether it's moving up or down, and then also like whether this is like currently on or not. So by default, all these start out as being on at the relative maximum brightness. It's slightly different for each of them within a small range. Um, and then they're all determined to be going in they've all got a very variable speed at which they are turning themselves on and off. After that, I've got strip begin and strip show, just to initialize everything and then turn it off. And then inside of the loop, there's not much in here. I call this function update LED, which I'll talk about in just a second. This is really where everything goes on in terms of changing the values inside of the lights. Um, this right here just writes all the values out to the strip, and you can see I'm multiplying by I'm saying take the value inside of the buffer and then multiply it uh, by this scale right here, and that determines the red, green, blue values for each of them. And then I just send the values out, and then I delay it by whatever the speed here is, the speed variable. So inside of update LED, this is where everything kind of happens. You'll see that I pass in a value, and that is which, where did that go? Here it is. And that is, which LED in the array am I speaking to? So here we've checked to see if the LED is on or off. So if it's not off, then we start to make it get a little bit less bright. Um, then if it is off and it's been off for a little while, then we start to turn it back on. So this right here is just something to just see how long a particular light is off. You can see that the amount of time that they're on and off changes constantly. If the LED is on and the current value of the light is brighter than its set maximum, then start to fade it. If it's if that's not the case, right, then what you're going to want to do is the value is 0, right, then you turn the LED off, you pick a new speed, you pick a new maximum value based off of that speed, and then you reset the direction, and then you just start basically this whole process all over again. And then uh, the LED brightness is a combination of the current buffer, the current brightness, plus its direction, so plus or minus, and then the speed, right? And so that determines like how quickly it's gonna go in either direction. So all of these combined give us the opportunity to make this like kind of like nice looking sparkly fade that is constantly, the same, but also constantly changing. So nothing is ever really fixed or static inside of there. And yeah, so this is a slightly more complex example of how you can control these lights. If you're interested in this sort of thing, take a look at some of the examples inside of the Adafruit library. I think that those are far more complex than any of this other stuff that I've showed you today. But they also show you like how you can do like chasing rainbows, marquees, and all sorts of other fun stuff. But this is just to show you that you can do a pretty wide variety of kind of like effects and things like this. And these lights actually, one thing about them is, the brightness and the sparkliness of them is really interesting. But the thing that I find for myself more interesting is not looking at the actual light source itself, but then really what the light falls on. So you can see the different color effects on my hands here really change the nature of how my hand looks. So, I would say that that actually becomes, it's the reflected light, not the actual like direct light itself that's really interesting here. So yeah, I don't know. It's just my thoughts. You probably have your own take on these things, and you absolutely should. So have fun with these, and there will be more soon.